now we're done crossing over to Germany. Imagine losing your father and mother in the space of 2 months at the time that you are unemployed with siblings younger than yourself, yet support from the family members is not forthcoming. That is the story of a 26-year-old unemployed graduate forced to shoulder the responsibilities of parenthood. Today on JoyNews Agenda, we put the spotlight on this family that will be benefiting from government's free SHS program. JoyNews' Joseph Akable has the rest of the story.
We graduated in July. We're waiting to start our national service, and then in September I lost my daddy. Came back from my daddy's funeral. A week later I lost my mom too. Yeah, so my mommy was in November. My daddy died in September.
The events that changed the life of the 26-year-old for good. The fresh KNUST graduate became the breadwinner for her 3 siblings. She tells me of her greatest fear at the time.
It wasn't easy at all. If I say it was easy, then that would be a very big lie. I thought my world had come to an end. I was just imagining how my siblings and I were going to cope, because I have 3 younger siblings after me, and it was just too much for me to bear at that point in time. I thought it was all a dream, and every day I hope I'll just wake up and then find them around, but then had to come to bear with the fact that they are gone and gone forever.
For most African families, the extended family system becomes useful. Distant relatives provide support in such circumstances. Amma says this has not been forthcoming.
It's not been that much, but the few who can do something, like they usually help sometimes. But it's not like, even if somebody will help you, it wouldn't be like your parents being around. You understand? Yes, they feel for you. Probably they don't help because they don't have the means. You get it? That's how I can put it, right? They also have other responsibilities, and they wish they could help, but they can't really help. And those who are helping will not help to the standard of your parents. You get my point?
Then came the good news. She vividly recalls her reaction.
In 3 weeks' time, the free senior high school is going to roll out and become a reality in the lives of our country.
I first heard it during the campaign. Okay, I think it was part of their campaign promises, and it's a very good idea that if they are actually going to do what they are going to do, it will be a very great idea. Okay, because there are many people out there who have really passed. Okay, they have the brains to go to school, but here lies the case: the money is not there. You get my point?
Her sister, Little Joyce, who will be pursuing a visual arts program in a school in Accra, is equally excited.
I'm happy because I have only except for my 2 sisters. They are unemployed and they are working harder to get a job. So I'm happy that the free SHS is coming, because it will cut down pressure on them, and so they will get
So they will be able to get money to get you provisions and other things.
Yes. Yeah. And even my younger sister.
Government has already stated that the policy will be run on a scholarship basis with a 3-year offer to students. Both Amma and Joyce agree students must give it their best shot. Amma also has some advice for young Joyce.
I've always told her she knows where she's coming from and then where she wants to be. Okay. The fact that our parents are not alive doesn't mean you can't do what you want to do in life, because people have already gone through worse things that we have gone through, but they have survived it. And if they have survived, you can also survive. Everything boils down to their mind. I've been telling her her mind is a battlefield that she needs to be working on all the time. Okay, she tells herself, I can make it because people have made it. She can. And then she should know the kinds of friends she mingles with when she goes to school. That's very, very important.
When you're not showing, when you're not doing well, yes, they have to let you pay, because you are not improving them.
And you expect that within 3 years you should be able to complete pass so that your sister doesn't need to pay again?
Yes, I have to make them proud of me.
And by being proud, you mean what?
I have to pay success.
So that is a family that will be benefiting from government's flagship free senior high school education program. The expectation remains that it is rolled out as promised to ensure that it relieves them just like they are currently expecting that to be done. Reporting for JoyNews, my name is Joseph Akable.
Some more on education. They are brilliant, smart and enthusiastic about school, but left to their parents alone, they will either miss out on the fundamentals of schools or not be in school at all. And that is the fate of some school-going age children, even here in Accra. But for one young man who appreciates early childhood education, these children must not be disadvantaged, irrespective of the circumstances. 26-year-old graduate of UPS with diploma in accounting, Emmanuel Teku, is standing up for these children. Emmanuel, having taken over the administration of his father's 30-year-old private school in Mamobi, is not just looking for those who can afford to enroll in his school. He personally, on a daily basis, goes out in search of brilliant but needy children, admits and educates them free of charge. Emefa Etiamwa Eli has been spending some time with Emmanuel and some of his pupils and has come through with the following report.
They are very good. They're very good in their academic activity. They are very good. Very active too. Yes. And they come to school every day too.
I want someone to help me and my mother. Then I'll go to school and I'll become a doctor.
I have brilliant kids who are home now. Very intelligent kids. And because their mom can't afford to pay their fees, they are home. They are home. Anytime I talk to them, they refer me to their man is not serious about the kids. So they've also left their kids to be in the house. They have a very serious problem. In terms of education, their problem is very serious. Because the most brilliant kids are here. They are very, very intelligent. But they don't have access to education. That's their problem.
Osu is 9 years old and in class 1. Bernice is 6 years old and in KG1. It took Emmanuel Tieku's intervention for parents of both children to enroll them in school. Osu and Bernice are just 2 out of many other children who are enjoying the benevolence of Emmanuel Tieku and his colleague child educators at the Tiogestin Preparatory School in Mamobi. While on vacation, Victus, Emmanuel and their colleagues still constructively engage these children academically to ensure they catch up with their mates. But at what cost? In preparation for school reopening, Emmanuel visits some parents of his pupils to find out their preparedness to foot their school bills this academic year. His first stop is Owusu's mother's. He tells us how he met Owusu.
I came around some time ago and I saw him playing around. So I asked him whether he attends in his school. He said no. But like in contact with him, I learned he can speak good English. He's very good. So I told his mom about it. And she was like, she doesn't have money. So I asked her to enroll the child in the school for free.
The cost associated with educating these children on benevolence is huge. He sometimes gets into trouble with city authorities over non-payment of tolls.
The AMA dues, I was at the office the other time, they came to lock the place because we were owing much and we don't have money to pay. So his costume is really bringing me down. But it's like we love to do the work, that's why we are doing it.
Emmanuel's quest to keep these children in school is obviously not sustainable. Despite his fears, Emmanuel can't afford to let the children's academic future be dashed.
Good morning. We have a code. And then Miss Kaka.
Sofodro is Bernice's mother. She's a widow with 4 children. She sells sugarcane to make ends meet. It's been 2 years since Emmanuel admitted Bernice in his school free of charge. Bernice's mother, so far, is still not in the position to cater for her daughter's education. The reason Emmanuel meets her today.
Ben is home school, I cover 2 years. This year and plans to share Ben our my business.
I'm at one.
Person of us to us.
Not one.
Over person of us to us school, so I call JHS. I call SS. I'm Patricia, who is can now the only to us.
News cat, and so no, didn't made me. I told to say, be a Buamia. A bedroom or maybe an Radia Buam.
Juma Ben, how is it?
It don't I heard you.
I should dear and I should dear no show motor. Vivia Coy.
I heard you no. A yara. Son near the be told you, and you need to be Tianaka. Intino Kakra, Mina dear, rather the Buami.
And this I can say it's been so into your school fees. Wait, me and so there.
There be a make us say. And my catcher was saying, young couple one of them into me. So, want your school fees, sir. Some shares say, meet me. Meet you, say, Michelle, so my who are dean to me. Let me a cassami ban, may you know, or met the fee.
No one makes me fear, and no baby.
I'm Buamin, and to send me some more din. Ain't me Buamin. Ne some more din, I mean, Nintin, I'm semi ban. Maybe I'm a man of better fee.
Bernice, like many other children, has big dreams. But at what cost and to whom?
Costing me a lot. Because we have some dues outstanding that we have to pay in terms of chairs and tables. We are in short of chairs and tables, so it's costing me a lot.
Emma picks and drops some of these children to and after school. This is an individual's effort in ensuring the future leaders of this country are given the right footing at the right age and at the right time, so they don't lose out. Any hope for the future, particularly in communities where the likes of Emmanuel Tioku are not there? Emefa Ewenam Atiamwa Eli for Joy News, Accra.
Whilst we look at those younger ones, heads of private senior high school owners across the country are accusing government of neglecting them in the placement of students following the rollout of the NPP's free SHS program. The heads, who have to deal with almost empty classrooms since the program took off, say they have been completely neglected and sidelined. Speaking at the press conference in Accra on Wednesday, General Secretary of the Conference of Heads of Private Second Cycle Schools, Joseph Jamisi, said before the program was implemented, they were made to believe that their schools had a role to play, but that is not the case.
We want to place on record that we as private senior high schools in Ghana are not against the free SHS policy. No serious educator can be against a government intervention that seeks to make secondary education more affordable and accessible to Ghanaian children. Our concern is with the way the policy is being implemented. CHOPS wants to register our complete disappointment with the way the government is implementing the free education policy. We consider the development so far as undermining the contribution of private SHS in the educational sector. It is as though the government is intentionally trying to collapse all private SHS in this country. Before the implementation, we had been made to believe that even with free SHS, private senior high schools had a role to play. We thought we could continue to partner with government to make a difference in the lives of Ghanaian children. At various fora, it has been stated that free SHS was a form of a scholarship program and therefore will be available to only students who qualify. That is to say, only students who qualify will be covered under the free SHS policy. We thought the requirements to qualify meant junior high school graduates must meet a minimum cut-off, say aggregate 30, in order to be placed by the computerized placement system. So, as we have all discovered, only students who scored a grade of 9 in mathematics or English were disqualified from placement into public schools. And for the first time, not one student was posted to a private school. What does it say about governments? What does it say about government's regard for private SHS when she is ready to post 92% of students who graduated from the JHS into public senior high schools and pay all their fees? Which students will patronize the private SHS? What is to happen to the millions of Ghana cedis that has been invested into our schools? What is to happen to 10,000 plus Ghanaian workers who are currently employed in our schools? What is government's plan to provide a platform that gives our schools a realistic chance to thrive?
Joseph Jamiside speaking for heads of private second cycle schools. Now, president of the association, IK Mensa, has also been explaining how difficult it was for them to get the attention of government during the consultative period.
Yeah. You could see we started this dialoguing with them as far back as April. I have a document here where we made our proposals to the ministry about our stakes and what we think must be included. Just as he said, it was at the latter part of it that we felt we wouldn't be part of it. So that answers the first one. The consultation. We were also expecting that government, knowing that he posts or she posts students to our schools and we are partners, would also be invited. It was when we saw that the policy is being rolled out, discussions are going on, and we were not invited, that we wrote to the ministry to grant us audience. And in fact, they granted us audience, we met them, and we've met about 3 different times. And our presentation were documented and presented to them, thinking that even if we are not there, our issues have been raised and presented to be factored into the broad base. So it was at the last minute that we didn't hear that. Yes. When we saw that we had not been, the thing was going on and we're not invited, that is when we knocked at their doors and they granted us audience.
And what was their response?
Yeah, they said that once they have the document, they will factor us into it. At a point that we are needed, we'll be called. So
we are here today to call them ourselves.
Well, that's the conference of heads of private second cycle institutions there. They're not just speaking, they have some demands, and they made some recommendations as well.
We believe that every attempt must be made to protect the existence of private senior high schools, since it is clear that government alone cannot absorb all JHS students who graduate yearly. If all private SHS close down, access to secondary education for over 50,000 students currently enrolled in private SHS will be jeopardized. We therefore call on government to, as a matter of urgency, 1, include private SHS among the schools listed on the self-placement website. Our schools should be tagged private, and parents should be informed that when a private school is selected, the student will have to pay the school fees. With this, a student who may not be happy with his or her placement, or a student who is not able to find a school that he or she likes, may select a private school on that website and go to that private school. Secondly, we call on government to extend its policy on free SHS to cover students in private senior high schools also. We understand that government may not want to invest directly into private schools. We therefore suggest that the amount of money earmarked per student to attend senior high schools be granted to the student, whether he or she attends a public or private senior high school. The investment is in the Ghanaian child, not in the school. Such a system has been successfully implemented in the health sector, where government partners with private health facilities to deliver quality health services to Ghanaians. The public has the option of receiving health services either through public or private health facilities. Regardless of where health services are provided, the patient is covered under the National Health Insurance Scheme. We are calling for a system similar to what pertains in the health sector in Ghana under the National Health Insurance Scheme, which was introduced by the NPP government. We believe that a similar system can be implemented in the educational system, where government subsidies will follow students, irrespective of the institution where they access education. As an example, if a government decides that it will cost 800 Ghana cedis per term to educate a student in a public senior high school, that amount should also be made available to Ghanaian children who attend private senior high schools. If a parent needs to add 200 Ghana cedis to it in order to afford the total fees in a private senior high school, then that becomes the option of the parents. We believe a policy of this nature will be more inclusive and will make secondary education free for Ghanaian children in the public schools and more affordable to Ghanaian children who attend private senior high schools. By reintroducing a realistic cutoff system, the government will be recognizing the contribution of private SHS and allowing us to play the complementary role that we have always played.
All right, so we're preparing to get some answers to this question or to this issue that has been raised by the heads of the second cycle, private second cycle institutions from the Office of the Deputy Minister for Education, Dr. Ayaw Osei-Duchum, who has been answering most of the questions. We don't have the minister at the moment, but we're hearing some very interesting story, quite disturbing though, of snake bites on someone's first day at school in the eastern region. Kofi Siao has that story. Kofi, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
What happened today in that school?
Well, the student, together with her colleague, she is by name Ruth Papo, 14-year-old JHS 2 student, had gone to school, and when they entered the classroom, she unconsciously stepped on a cobra. And
hold on. Tell us a bit about, before you tell us what kind of cobra she stepped on, what kind of structure are they studying in? Because it's quite rare to find a cobra in a...
Well, the school block is a wooden structure. It is in a very deplorable state. And authorities say they've complained so much, but they expect the Ghana Education Service to have come to their aid. But upon several requests, the GES and the Municipal Assembly hasn't come to their aid. So I can tell you that the school is in a very deplorable state. It's a wooden structure.
So this scorpion, cobra that you're telling us about, please go ahead with that. Please go ahead with that bit of the story about the cobra that she stepped on.
She had entered the classroom with her other colleague, and unconsciously she stepped on the snake, which is about 6 feet, and the snake bit her. So the DC who was around then and touring the school as part of my first day at school rushed her to the Asamanka the government hospital, where she is currently receiving treatment. Hospital authorities have confirmed the story, and they are saying that the girl is currently responding to treatment.
Well, it sounds good that she's responding to treatment. But what other thing has happened on your tour of first day?
School authorities also added that this is the third time a student has been bitten by a snake.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's something that is happening in the school, and they have complained to the school. They have complained to the Ghana Education Service and the Municipal Assembly. So, Honorable said, Wadu also said that he will do everything in his capacity as the DC for the area to ensure that they have a new block.
What has he been telling them about the first time in school, of course, apart from promising to build?
He urged the students to learn very hard and also asked the teachers to commit themselves to their work so that the students who come out from the school will do so with flying colors.
All right, I see. Thank you very much, Kofi Sian. Kofi Sian, with that update. I mean, we thank God that she's still well. We told her she's responding to treatment, but it will sound very bad if you were to go to school for the first time after a long vacation and be bitten by a snake, especially when that's not the first time. Like I said, we're hoping to reach the Deputy Education Minister. Actually, our cameras are in his office. We're trying to raise him so he can answer some of the questions being asked by the heads of private second cycle institutions. Let's take a very quick break whilst we wait on the minister.